Patrick Stump has frequently discussed how, before Fall Out Boy made him the singer he is today, he actually thought of himself more as a drummer. That doesn't mean he never sang on a recording before Fall Out Boy, however. Patrick recently just discussed this on the Glass Slipping podcast, hosted by Keaton Whitaker of Daisy Grenade and Peter Scadanini.
I had made this demo with a buddy where I ended up playing most of the instruments on this one song on it, and I sang on it. And I sent that to Joe, and he heard that and went, and he called Pete in to to come over and have me audition. And I didn't really know, because I was like, I play drums on that. The drums are pretty good, but I also play guitar and whatever. And Joe was like, singer, you're going to be the singer. I had no idea at that point, but Joe kind of had that in mind. And there was this moment where Pete looks over to Joe and he's like, this guy should sing.
These MP3 files were enough to convince Joe to audition him, despite the fact that you could barely hear his voice. So fans have wondered for a long time what these mystery songs actually were. Well, we're on the precipice of finding this out. Back in 2001, MP3.com, an MP3 sharing website, was arguably at its peak. Musicians big and small used the site to grow their audience in the early days of file sharing, Fall Out Boy included. However, you may not know that Patrick also had an MP3.com profile. Eventually, the website shut down, and the only way to access old profiles is by downloading the entire website to a hard drive. So that's what we did. Here is where the existence of this long-lost demo is confirmed. It's titled Munchausens. Yes, the apostrophe is included, and is labeled as a pop song. The description reads, I wrote this song about somebody I know who has a lot of problems. It's from his perspective. More details are clear when you click on the song, like how at the end it was cut off, the mix is bad, and that Patrick seemingly doesn't really even like it at all. Patrick wrote and recorded the song himself, but was assisted by Drew First, who played in Grinding Process, a Glenview hardcore band that Patrick also had a short stint in, among other bands. Drew ran something called Bergen Even, which we have learned from Dave Hoffer of the DuPage County Hardcore Archive that it was some sort of collaborative project where Drew would work with his friends and bandmates to produce one-off recordings together. So what about the audio file? That unfortunately was not saved by our friends over at the Internet Archive. Both Drew and Dan Agosto, who also lent a hand in Munchausen's creation, no longer have copies of the tape and say that very few ever even existed. Not all hope is lost, however, as some insider info lets us know that Patrick himself still has a copy, somewhere. Even if it may take a while, we're extremely confident that this song will eventually resurface. If you'd like to check out Patrick and other bands' mp3.com pages from back in the day, join our Discord for more information on how to do so.